In less than 2 weeks, as a matter of fact, just over 1 week from now, one of the greatest banking collapses in our country's history begins. It doesn't mean that people are going to be racing to the bank next week for their money. What happens is a big change, something in the banking industry that was taken away from them and allowed them in 2020 to run massive deficits, put tons of loans, tons of money out there, is about to come to an end. And you're going to see from the beginning of when this starts, move forward into the future, 3, 6, 9 months, their earnings numbers coming out. You are going to be able to learn ahead of time what's happening in the banking system, and you are going to be able to protect your personal finances. What is happening is the reserve ratio that was taken away from the banks, which used to be 3%. I know this sounds crazy and it sounds trivial, but trust me, the banks are crashing right now. And the story I'm about to share with over 500 banks are about to fail is going to be very important. That was taken away where they had to hold 3% in reserves in case of a crisis, in case they weren't capitalized enough, right? In 2020, that was taken away. That's why you've seen in the weirdest times when you're like, things shouldn't be this well, things shouldn't be going this well, they were, because it allowed that much more capital to rush into the markets in the form of loans, new credit cards, new auto loans, all that stuff, pumping the prices up. Now that's being taken away. Mid-March, I believe it's March 11th, they now have to go back to having reserves. The banks have been in front of Congress telling them, including Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo, Citigroup, saying, you can't let us or force us to hold this 3%. We won't be competitive with international banks. Think about where the regional banks are. The regional banks are in absolute free fall right now. Their stocks are falling. Regardless if they're up today because of a dead cat bounce and a bunch of algorithmic traders, trading bots are trying to take advantage of this, the long-term, actually near-term focus is downward pressure on their stock price. Look at this story out of Fortune and then think about how this is going to play out over this year, especially going into election where there are a lot of people very afraid of who's about to come into power. Please understand this. And they will throw the kitchen sink. They will throw everything to entice fear and destroy the economy because they're getting ready. The elites of the world have been selling their stocks like Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, Jamie Dimon, Jeff Bezos. There are so many of them. They're liquidating right now. They're selling to your pension funds. They are getting out. Countries around the world are buying gold at record paces. Please understand what's going on here. Look at this story out of Fortune. It's entitled Top Real Estate Mogul Warns 500 or more banks will either fail or be consolidated over the next 2 years. And I want you to understand the Federal Reserve wants bank consolidation because the Federal Reserve is a private bank held by a handful of the largest banks on earth. And what they want is they want to take over all of these banks. They want to take over the freedom of the banking system. They want every time a bank fails, a big bank that owns the Federal Reserve comes in and swoops in and takes all those deposits, buys all those assets for pennies on the dollar. They want this system to fail. They want it to where there's only a few banks in the nation running everything, and then you will have zero freedom. You are a slave to the system. When they go out and take your deposits that you put in, and then they go and recklessly, without abandon, they just go and bet the farm. They get the windfall profits, and they give you a fraction, a pittance, nothing back in your bank account for interest. They are robbing you. And then when they fail, because every 7 to 10 years we go through a recession and there's bank failures, they just take your tax money, they go to the government, and they get bailed out. This is disgusting what's going on. And we need to fight back. How do you fight back? You don't live in their debt system. You do use debt to make money, but you do it the right way. If you don't know how to do that, please stick around this channel. I will teach you this. I have been an investor for over 25 years. I made my millions when I was young, and that's not to brag. It's because I broke out of the system. I did use debt to make money. But I also am debt-free in my personal life. I have debt inside of entities. This is how the wealthy do it. Check this story out. Ever since 4 regional banks holding a combined $532 billion in assets, headlined by Silicon Valley Bank, failed in March of 2023, regional banks have been under scrutiny from regulators. And given the commercial real estate industry's issues, a key focus has been on banks with the most exposure to the volatile sector. Please, this is not bragging, but anyone down below that remembers me warning about commercial real estate and how this was going to take down the system years ago, and then 2 Novembers ago saying that the banking crisis starts in the first and second quarter of 2023. Please let people know down below. And it's not to toot my own horn. I've been very blessed with information over the years, and I'm sharing it with the people to wake people up, to get them ready, because this crash is so serious. We're talking about Great Depression 2.0. It will be shorter. It will be shorter than the first Great Depression because of technological advances, but it will wipe out more money than the Great Depression did. Please, please, please understand this. There is a plan to take everything you have and to make you an eternal renter. They don't even, governments around the world, a group of people that have formed their own government, please understand this, that are now ruling over governments, want you to not even own your own car. Please get this. And if you understand this, please share this video everywhere you can, especially on Facebook groups, on Instagrams, anywhere you can. Go into those group settings where there's hundreds of thousands of people in these groups and plaster this video. Share the truth, because we have a plan to get everyone out of this. It's us versus them. The haves and the have-nots. And the have-nots are about to become wealthy if you will just become meek, become patient, get out of debt, and get ready to pounce. The first thing they want you to do is not have a credit score. They want you to have your credit score destroyed so they can just tell you, sorry, you're out. You don't get to take advantage of the savings that we're all getting when we're buying up homes for pennies on the dollar. Says here, RXR Realty CEO Scott Relcher described how regional banks will face a slow-moving train wreck as waves of commercial real estate loans mature over the next few years. Relcher has faith that many commercial real estate owners, operators, and lenders will figure out a way to overcome the challenges facing them, but he's more skeptical about regional banks. I think there's going to be 500 or more fewer banks in the US over the next 2 years, he said. I'm not saying they're all going to fail, but I'm saying they will be forced into consolidation if they don't fail. Consolidation is failing because the bank that's weak, that joins with the stronger bank, loses its assets for pennies on the dollar, okay? They don't have a business model that is going to be able to enable them to stand alone and be competitive and retain deposits and service customers the way that they have, he added. Regulators' fears about regional banks with exposure to commercial real estate aren't unfounded. New York Community Bancorp being the prime example, shares of the NYCB have plummeted roughly 78% from their July 2023 peak to concerns over their CRE exposure. The pain accelerated after NYCB reported a surprise fourth quarter loss. Isn't that funny? A surprise. It's not a surprise to the subscribers of this channel and the Economic Ninja channel, because we have been warning about this. And just so you know, the next wave happens when NYCB goes into either the FDIC comes in and picks them up and says, okay, we're gonna take over, or they come under the umbrella of another bank and this gets shoved under the rug until the next bank pops. But remember, when first quarter earnings come out, that's going to be a big tell, and that's going to erupt a whole new slew of bank losses. First quarter 2024 earnings, which will come out mid-April. Prepare for this. As a matter of fact, we're going to see in first quarter earnings from these regional banks the effects of having to hold back 3% in reserves starting March 11th. This is a serious time, and that's why I say everything's not going to crash on March 11th, but what's going to happen is it begins an era, and I'm going to be able to show you through these bank earnings numbers what is really happening. And then what that's going to do is that is going to not either Hopefully it strikes fear in you, because fear is a great motivator to actually do something and get ready. Because this isn't just a save yourself scenario. This is the most amazing opportunity you're ever going to have. This is way better than what I went through when I sold all my homes in 2005, getting ready for the crash of '08. This is so much bigger than that. And I don't want to win by myself. I want to win with millions of people behind me. All of us together winning, buying assets. Keep your credit score solid. Get out of debt. Get some money on the side, some dry powder, and get ready to absolutely dominate this crash. Because I guarantee you right now, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, and all them, they want to do it. You should be there too. Let's do this together. Thank you to everybody that's been hitting the subscribe button or checking to see if they were unsubscribed. It's a real thing. Thank you so much for making this channel what it is. It is because of you. Thank you. God bless you. And this world is going to be better because of you if you take action now. The Real Estate Ninja is out.